it's as tough as any endurance race or any Indianapolis 500.
The most enthusiastic crowd that we ever race around.
There's a lot of high speed.
I beat the Baja didn't beat me.
You just have so many unforeseen things that happen.
It's my favorite because it kind of separates the men from the boys.
Hello everyone, I'm Dave Despain. Welcome to a damp and dreary day in the desert, not what you typically think of in Baja, California, but in fact this time of year, not an unexpected challenge to the competitors in La Carrera Baja Mil, the Baja 1000. Now you know, in my mind, motorsports exists at about three different levels. You have your little local races, you have the bigger races that are worth traveling a ways to attend, and then you have your really big races. The gotta be there, take a week's vacation, mortgage the house if you have to races, like the Indy 500, the Daytona 500, and for the off-road fraternity, this race, the Baja 1000. It is an event of superlatives, the biggest, richest, longest, roughest, most important race of the year. Now, for the locals who have turned out to check out some of the action, this is, in fact, their local race. They tell us there's no way to know if the rain will continue. That's one of the many questions we'll answer as we cover the Baja 1000.
Compare the dreary, damp Baja weather to the heat of Las Vegas. And our last outing, the Gold Coast 300, 120 degrees, side-by-side drag race off the start. Ivan Stewart, left side of your screen in the Toyota. Rob McCachran uses that Ford V8 power to get in front of him. Ivan, from the onboard camera, says, "Kid, here's a reminder of what your day is going to be like." Boom, a little whack in the rear. They raced all day long, but Jim Smith had a chance to win this thing until a long pit stop cost him. The burnout threw rocks and gravel all over everybody. They docked him a position for that. Flat tires, the story of the day. Ivan had two, but only had one spare late in the race. Had to make an extra pit stop for that right rear. And McCachran, who had only one flat tire in an entire race, came home to take the checkered flag. That is significant, A, because it's its first win of the year, B, because it expands its point lead. It can clinch the championship here at Baja with a 9th place finish. Hey, kid, that makes it a piece of cake, right?
Well, it's really tough, you know, walking around here today and continuing to see everybody going, hey, you got it made, all you got to do is finish 9th. And I'm saying, you know, I'm not happy about that. You know, I'd rather have to go out and win this race. And I want to win. I want to run hard from the start and win.
Not everyone believes McCachran will be conservative today. Strategy is a big question for him. One of the issues we'll deal with during the next hour. Right now, we're going to the streets of Mexicali, and Steve Wise, our expert analyst, is standing by with the defending race champion.
Dave, a little bit of deja vu for the Ironman as he starts at the very back of the pack, as he did in our first race of the season here on ESPN, the Baja 500. And Ivan, here you are having to work your way through the field again. Is that going to be a problem?
Well, it will be, and I was hoping for some rain, Steve, or at least some wind. And as you can see, it's cloudy, it's not raining, and the wind's not blowing. If we had those, that would definitely help. But still, in off-road racing, especially Baja 1000, you can't be real concerned about the other competitors. I need to know where they're at and how hard I got to run, but I've got to race the terrain. The elements down here is what can put people out. The rain, the wind, the mud, the conditions. So I'm racing against the elements of Baja more than anything.
Ivan, there are a handful of guys that really have a chance mathematically at this driver's points title, but realistically, really you, Larry Ragland, and you guys are both chasing Rob McCachran. How does that factor into it?
Well, it is. It's gonna be a big factor. We want the championship, you know, but the odds are slim. Rob McCachran and Larry are both tough, and especially Rob, knowing that he only has to finish 10th or better to beat us, and I have to win. So he's going to run a conservative race, I'm sure. But you never know. Anything can happen. So we're going to keep in mind to win the race, and if the points come to us, fine. We're going to be here, try and get back here first and see what happens. Points championship is important, but I'd still like to win the Baja 1000.
Okay. Good luck, Ivan.
Thank you very much.
Everybody wants to win the Baja 1000. This kid did it in 1989. Robbie Gordon's brand new truck pulls up to the starting line. In '89, he became the first truck ever to win the overall here, and he's with Steve.
Rob, you've been waiting for this new truck Is it going to work like you wanted to? Have you had much time in it?
Well, we've been down here testing. We brought the valvoline truck down here twice, and so it's been around the course twice already. It knows its way. We've rubbed on it real hard the last couple weeks getting it ready, and you know, this race is important to us, and hopefully we can pull this one off.
This race has been real good to you in the past. What do you think you'll do today? Are you going to go out and just run as hard as you can, or do you think you'll be patient?
Well, you know, we've still got a new truck. We're gonna bide our time. We're gonna be nice to her all day long, and if we have to go racing at the end, we'll go racing.
Good luck, Rob.
Robbie's old truck, Roseanne, relegated to the ranks of the pre-runners. Now his new truck ready to rock and roll. The biggest race of the year, the championship on the line, wet weather ahead. The Mexican fans are ready. We'll come back with the action in the Ford Tecate Baja 1000. Speed World coverage of the Baja 1000 brought to you by Toyota Motorsports, where technology on a fast track is built into every Toyota car and truck you buy. And by Goodyear, #1 in tires. At the tail end of a 16-truck field, Ivan Stewart hoping for a victory that could pull out the championship over Rob McMillin. Yesterday, he was signing autographs in the contingency area along with a big crowd.
Thousands and thousands of fans come to this race. This is the second year they've had it in Mexicali. A lot of interest this year, Dave, because of that truck right there, the Chevy truck of Javier Espinoza out of Ensenada, the local favorite in this race to try to come in here and mix it up with the big boys.
Now this is a big deal locally. Left to right, the mayor, Francisco Perez Tejada Aguilera, the governor, Ernesto Rufo Appel, and on the right, Sal Fish of SCORE, the organization that arranges this course.
This course, very similar to last year's, heads down south from Mexicali into a loop within itself, then down through Matomi Wash, one of the toughest spots on the course, up through the city of San Felipe, back in towards Mexicali. 2 dry lake beds there that they have to cross. As you see the blue areas there, these dry lake beds, if it rains, they're wet, Dave.
Right, dry turns to wet every time it rains, and it is sprinkling out on the course. A big storm front moved through San Diego yesterday. A lot of question about how it will affect the anticipated 10-hour run here for the trophy trucks. The race maximum duration 26 hours. If you can't make it back in 26 hours, you're out of here. Field coming to the line. Jim Smith has the coveted first starting spot. Nobody in front of the Ford F-100, as he will be the first to take the green flag, and the Baja 1000 is underway. The Ultra Wheels entry smoking the tires as he heads down toward the first turn. They're in the border town of Mexicali here. The streets lined 3 deep with spectators as this race gets underway. Smith will have a 1-minute head start over the second starter, former class champ Larry Ragland, the Nelson & Nelson Chevy. He has an outside shot at the championship.
33-year-old Scott Douglas is next up. His best finish so far this season has been in 8th place. He'll be followed by Robbie Gordon, the IndyCar driver who loves to race at Baja. He's glad the season is over.
One of 2 Jeeps in the field, Kurt LeDuc, in only his second desert race for the trophy trucks, and Danny Lettner making his debut at the tender age of 66.
Starting 7th, Walker Evans, 55 years old. He matched his best finish of the season 4th at the Gold Coast 300. He'll be followed by Roger Mears, another guy that really likes Baja. He's won this race in his class 4 times.
To watch his start, you'd think Roger was figuring this was a 1,000-foot race. He comes burning off the line of that big Chevy, which, by the way, just a ways down this course was clocked at 133 miles an hour on the road before they hit the desert trails. Steve Kelly has the second Jeep in the field. He is 4th ranked in the series standings. And here is Senor Espinosa from over in Ensenada. He'll start in 10th spot.
Doug Fortin Jr., his second race out, starting in the 11th spot, a former buggy overall champion for SCORE. And, of course, Rob McMillin. Last year needed to clinch the Class 8 championship in this race. He did it.
John Swift is next in the Swift Racing Ford from 13th starting spot, lucky number 13. And another of the fast Fords, Paul Simon, the Simon & Simon Racing entry with a lot of trucks in front of him.
Bob Ritchie and Tom Baker running the RCR racing team. They're starting 15th. Best finish has been a 6th place this year at the Baja 500. And of course, Ivan Stewart, who has only managed to win 3 of the 6 trophy truck races so far this season, looking for a big number 4 here, Dave.
And he is off the line in pursuit of all those trucks in front of him, but most notably McCachran. If Ivan can win and McCachran finishes 10th or worse, Ivan can pull out the championship. Here he is skating through that first turn as we get underway with the action in this 1,000-kilometer, roughly 630-mile race. We'll be right back with more. Climb on board with Jim Smith. Take a high-speed ride southbound Route 5, Baja, California. Right-hand side of the screen, meow, school bus.
Everything stops on race day down here. They're all here to see the Iron Man, Ivan Stewart, a personal fan favorite down here in Mexico.
Boy, he has a tremendous following. It's amazing. You go out here in these little villages and backways, and everybody knows Ivan. Now, 17 kilometers into the race, he's caught the truck in front of him, Tom Baker, and he really wants to make this pass.
Well, there's a big factor changing right here. Once they make this turn and watch Ivan swing around on the outside of him, they're heading into the dust. Suddenly, a pass like this is not going to be as easy as if this is easy, but Ivan does manage to get around him here.
He cleared the traffic and got by and moves up 1 position on the road. Now, remember this element of corrected time. Before we get to that, we have a problem. The first truck down for the day appears to be Steve Kelly, and the preliminary report indicates 3 shocks in the steering are broken. I'd say that's a pretty major problem as Walker Evans goes by in the Dodge, and he didn't get very far into the rough stuff either, did he?
No, he didn't. He's not going to get much sympathy from the other drivers either, Dave. In a case like this, if somebody goes down, you just jump in his spot and keep on going. This is pretty early into the race as well, where we start to see some of the leaders starting to pull away, I guess.
This is Highway 2. This is actually the toll road that runs east and west from here over to the coast, and this is the lead truck of Jim Smith. And listen to the people out here in the middle of nowhere. They've come flocking to one of the spectator points. The key here is not so much Smith, but the guy right behind him, Larry Ragland. Again, remember corrected time. Ragland started a minute behind Smith. He's close to within seconds of Smith on corrected time. Larry Ragland is the leader, and he's trying very hard to make a pass on old Jim here and become the leader on the road. You can see it hasn't rained a lot. It's still pretty dusty.
This spot right here is just before they jump onto the dry lake bed. There it's wide open. They'll be able to really put the horsepower into play. Both of these trucks with big horsepower, lots of overall speed in the high-end stuff. So they want to get up here in good shape so they can get out on the dry lake bed and really cut loose.
Remember, Ragland is one of the guys who can win the championship, but it would require a problem for McCachran. Here's the guy everybody's talking about, and that is Robbie Gordon. Brand new truck, and how is it different from old Roseanne?
The biggest difference is simply in weight. This is such a lighter truck. Roseanne was pretty heavy. This thing is light, lean, and fast.
Also on the move, Walker Evans, Baja legend for 30 years. He's been coming down here, driving on, flying over, and sailing around the Baja Peninsula. He knows every rock and trail and goat path down here.
Well, I'm a general contractor by trade, and that's what I used to do back in what I call the earlier days. And off-road racing was just a hobby. In 1969 through 75, in that era, I was just coming down to Baja, driving around some of the courses on the weekend, and hustling right back home and building houses.
He hustled all right. He drove Fords for Bill Strop and then Chevys with Parnelli Jones. But in the mid-70s, he hooked up with Dodge and made history.
Prior to 1979 Baja 1000, the race had been dominated by motorcycles, by highly sophisticated, what we call dune buggies with perhaps Porsche motors in them. Parnelli Jones had won it a few times overall in a highly modified Bronco, Ford-powered type Bronco, and out of the Bill Strop era. But for a pickup truck running in a, you might call it a stock Class 8 form, to go win the Baja 1000, it was a great shot for Dodge. It was a wonderful step in my career as far as a mark forward.
Here's the remarkable thing. In the 80s, Walker Evans and Rod Hall teamed up to win every single race down here. And then last year, a new Dodge Ram making its debut here at Baja with the impressive new body style and the V10 engine, 488 cubic inches.
It's probably one of the most exciting things that's taken place in my career, to go from a V8 to a V10, fuel injected, factory sponsored thing. I'll tell you, the horsepower is phenomenal. I love the smoothness, the performance of it.
Pretty impressive effort too. 3 trucks, all in Walker's stable. He's a driver and the owner and the manager. The stable includes Scott Douglas and Brian Stewart, who could win Class 8 here today as they shake down these new Dodge Rams.
All year long we've been working with them. We've had some growing pains, a couple of problems. Maybe that's one of the reasons that we're not right up in the front as far as a points leader right now, but we've ironed most every one of them that we can find out. We really feel good about the 1994 Baja 1000. I feel that all 3 of my V10s will be here. And I might add, Brian right now is winning the championship in Class 8 with a V10 too. So it's we're really proud of him.
That's an interesting matchup of 2 great racing families. As Walker heads down the desert, we'll check on Brian Stewart a little later on in his progress toward that Class 8 championship. It's early on in the running of the 25th Baja 1000. Larry Ragland has moved ahead of Jim Smith on corrected time, and Scott Douglas Dodge is inside the top 5. We're back in Baja. I need a little help from my expert analyst. Refresh my memory. Didn't Robbie Gordon say something about taking it easy on that new truck?
Yeah, he said he was going to be conservative. Let's see conservative. Yeah, there's a little bit of air. There's a little bit of air. There's a little bit of air. Yeah, he's taking it pretty easy. You know, there's only one gear in that gearbox. It's marked F for fast.
Yeah, he is a racer's racer. Mexicali, Mexico, or Indianapolis, Indiana, makes no difference. He'll get his hoof in it. And out here in the Mexican desert, the local fans are thrilled to see Javier Espinosa and the former Larry Ragland Chevy running very impressively in the early running of this Baja 1000. Don't be looking in the mirrors, though, Javier, because if you do, what you're going to see is this guy. Ivan Stewart is charging through this field. We mentioned fan reaction. Listen when they see that paint job. Now, I think this is a great story. Espinosa and the Iron Man, 2 big crowd favorites, but talk about contrasting backgrounds. Check out Precision Preparation Incorporated, PPI for short. Beautiful building, architecture, you bet. And talk about high bucks and a lot of class. Check out the support vehicles, a fleet of machines that will go to Baja. Everything here is state-of-the-art. CAD/CAM to design the parts, most of which are made right here. They have a huge staff of specialists, very, very talented people, and they do their work in a facility that it could be an IndyCar shop. It is an operating room kind of an environment here, and it's all focused on one guy, Ivan Stewart. Contrast that with this. In Ensenada, Mexico, Larry Ragland's old truck. Ragland in his new truck, the Chevrolet, and unfortunately there may be a problem here.
John, you got a copy on Ole? Brady says the engine's missing and backfiring and losing power, and he wants to know if you want him to change the ignition boxes.
Who's Brady?
They're going to do it at the scheduled pit stop, okay?
Brady is the co-rider and mechanic for that truck. He's noticed a problem with it. He's telling Larry about it, and they've got to do something about it.
And they anticipate changing the ignition box at the pit stop. Meanwhile, they're kind of sputtering and blubbering, and that's a big break for Jim Smith, who has the opportunity here perhaps to get back out in front of Ragland on the road and maybe even on corrected time. This is the Ultra Wheels Privateer Ford. It's a well-funded effort, but not the factory-backed effort.
And the dry lake bed here still looks pretty dry, Dave, as these two guys, Smith and Ragland, already on it. This is Robbie Gordon just about to jump on it. He's still making good time, still moving along well.
He'd love to hustle up there and catch Jim Smith up the front of the field. That Ultra Wheels logo on the right side of the dashboard, some people feel is a hint of things to come. Steve, remind me to get back to that story, but right now, let's check on Roger Mears. I don't hear it, but we've had reports that there may be a misfire in that truck, and indeed he has been caught from behind by Paul Simon, who was running strong early, had a flat tire, and is now, again, definitely reeling in Mears. I think Mears may be in trouble.
He might be. Swift also moving up through the field pretty well. John Swift, who was a factor early on in this trophy truck season, since he's had the new truck and that terrible wreck at Barstow, he's struggled a little bit, but he's running real well today.
Let's check on a couple of the other guys in the field. Here is Doug Fortin. Doug Jr. in the Chevy S10 started 14th today, and so far is just pretty much holding his position. And here is Danny Lettner, and I think this is a great story. 66 years old, the guy decides, hey, what could be more fun than going out and running a $130 across the dry lakes of Baja? He's got a trophy truck to do it, and we'll be following his progress when we come back to the peninsula for more of this legendary off-road race. Ragland is the leader. Smith has fallen to third. Rain clouds loom over the Baja Peninsula. Dave Despain and Steve Wise with the Baja 1000, 25th running thereof. Way back in 1969, guys like Steve McQueen came down here and raced, but the only guy still doing it is Rod Hall.
Well, it was quite different from today, obviously. We raced the main road for one thing, and the main road was a dirt road, but it was a pretty well-maintained road. But some of the things that really changed were we raced from checkpoint to checkpoint. However you got there, that was okay. If you came in from the wrong way, that was all right. You just had to make it. Nobody had chase cars and didn't have the support that goes with it today. And there was no arrows out there to tell you which way to go with the Y. So in the middle of the night, you just had to kind of go by your compass. One of the things that helped me a lot, a fellow by the name of Bill Hardy came up and he says, now Rod, you know, La Paz is not south, it's south with a lot of east. So you keep your, and here's a little compass I got you, and you use that. And that helped us several times, you know, just the things that you weren't used to, like wearing a pair of jeans with rivets in the back, you know, and you get down there and you got a big old scar that big in the back, and dirt getting in there, and so it was just a pair of jeans and, you know, a pair of boots, that sort of thing.
Steve Wise, pop quiz. Who was Rod Hall's co-driver 25 years ago?
Why, by golly, I think that was Larry Minor.
Drag racing fame. This guy knows it all. I love this stuff. Whoa, look out, Robbie Gordon. He's off the road momentarily. Big news up front. We have a new leader. It is Gordon. He has moved in front of Ragland's perhaps crippled Chevrolet and challenged way out here on the right by Jim Smith. That's an unusual line, don't you think?
Jimmy's done some pre-running, obviously. He's found a little different line. That's allowable in the rules out here in this particular spot. It's wide open here, so he thinks he can beat everybody to the corner, chasing both Gordon and trying to beat Ragland there as well.
And, of course, it's the old rivalry of Ford and Chevrolet, and for the moment, Ford has the better of it. Smith did not get by, but Gordon is the leader now from Ragland as he's gone all the way to the front. Leader on the course and on corrected time. And the question is the condition of Ragland's truck as he continues to struggle along here amid reports that the ignition may be going south for him. Jim Smith's unorthodox passing attempt around the wide side did not pay off, so he will continue in third spot. Now, while we're doing flashbacks, let's take you back to 91. Larry Ragland, winner of Class 8, says he knows how things can work at Baja.
Anytime you go to Baja or go to Mexico, you just have so many unforeseen things that happen. And it's the race definitely doesn't go to the fastest vehicle or driver out there. It goes to the one that's going to be the most durable, and the driver that has enough patience and discipline, and it takes a lot of luck. I mean, you just have to clean this course. If we have any downtime, then that's what's going to lose the race for us. It won't be because someone's faster than us or anything like that.
Proof of what he's talking about at Laguna Salada, the fastest truck in the race to date is stopped.
Racing. This is Gordon Hare. They're dead on the lake bed. Just past mile marker, what, 135, Greg? 10-4. It just died. We do have fuel pressure, and it's just cranking over slow. Okay, you might want to pull the hood off and check and see if it's the riveter cap or something. We're looking. Hang on.
Greg Till, co-driver. That's Robbie Gordon out of the cab and lifting the hood. They hope it's something like the distributor.
Well, you know, you get a new truck, and the word is you just can't come to a race like this with a big piece of equipment like this, as Kurt LeDuc goes flying by, Robbie, and have your truck perform out of the gate.
Something broken here?
Let's listen.
See something broken right here? Yep. Hold the whole thing. But before we yank it completely out, we're going to mark it. No, we're not, because it don't matter. It's broke. We have to find top dead center. We're going to be here for a while.
Give him credit. He's pretty good with the tools.
Well, he's got to figure it out if they're going to have any chance here.
Oh, we don't have a cam. Or you get a spare motor.
Oh, they got a big problem.
Looks like it broke the cam. Really a disappointment. You know, this car, we had them covered. I just can't believe it.
End of interview. Broken cam. Robbie Gordon, after taking the lead, is out of the race. That is a break for Rob McCachran. He will move up a spot. We mentioned strategy for McCachran. The halfway leader gets 6 points. There was some speculation that he might go out fast, try to get that 6. It does not appear to be happening. And now a report that Ragland's truck is down. He did not make it to the pits. Here is the leader again. Jim Smith has gone back to the front. Attrition early is the story. Ivan Stewart is also moving up. He started last, but the combination of attrition and his hard driving have put him inside the top 5.
Ivan was so dominating last year in this race. He won it by over an hour and 6 minutes.
And beat the motorcycles. I'm a motorcycle guy. That's very impressive to beat the motorcycles here.
Doesn't happen very often. Here's Rob McCachran now. Rob, as you said, playing a strategy game here, moving up slowly. As soon as somebody goes out, he's the beneficiary.
I don't see him coasting through here. He looks like he's going pretty fast. Compare that corner with the identical corner for Ivan Stewart. Ivan may be attacking it a little bit more, but not a whole lot, I don't think. Meanwhile, Stewart's crew have been monitoring McCachran's progress. Let's check in with them.
Seems to me, from looking at the time splits, everybody's kind of hanging around and everybody else is done. Looks to me like McCachran's on the Sunday cruise. I've got him running 7th right now on time. He just seems to be taking his time trying to win the championship. Copy that?
That would make sense. 7th, they started 11th. 3 trucks have dropped out, so indeed it appears McCachran has elected to sit back and let it come to him. Jim Smith is the leader as we run you all the way down through the top 10. McCachran hoping to pull out the title. The Baja 1000 is brought to you by the new Dodge, a division of the Chrysler Corporation. Big day on the peninsula. Hello to you too. Glad you've all joined us for the Baja 1000, which this year is actually about 620 miles and change. The leader is Jim Smith. They're at Borrego, approaching the pit stop down here in this gravel pit area. lot of people thought this was going to be an easy race, Steve, because it was so short. It isn't turning out that way.
Well, as we watch Kurt Leduc take this little jump before Borrego, it is a short race, but you know what, Dave? Last year, about on this same course, only a fourth of the field finished. That's less than normal for an off-road race. And here comes our man Walker, huh?
Crowd like Walker Evans, too. They like everybody who gets a little air off one of these jumps. Next year, the race will go the full 1,000 miles all the way down to La Paz, and that is the tradition on which these tough truck races are based. Swift gets it airborne in pretty spectacular style, and I think Ivan should be next. Here he comes.
Yeah, here he is, that crowd favorite. Gets a little bit of air. Ivan Stewart, last year dominating this race to finish and clinch the season-long championship.
Now, as the pit stop shuffle takes place at Borrego, Paul Simon has really leapt up the ladder. He gets all the way to third here as they shuffle positions. He's in a race with Leduc, and Leduc's pretty impressive here in only his second trophy truck start. In fact, if we swing around here, I think we'll see the gap back to Simon, who is actually leading Leduc on corrected time. When you're that close together, it gets the adrenaline pump going. You got to get through that dust and pass the guy.
Well, Simon also knows that he's already made his pit stop. Kurt still has to make one, so it gives him a chance to stay real close and then get back ahead of him again when Kurt pulls in.
Now here, as they get out into the open stuff, you see there's still a bit of a dust problem. What's happening with the weather is the front is moving in, and it's raining back up at the top of the course. But these guys, Ivan Stewart and others, are moving down towards San Felipe. They're further down the peninsula. Now, we've heard some rumors 49-year-old Ironman is ready to retire. Steve paid him a call at his house, and, well, you decide.
The Ironman. That's all you have to say, and race fans know you're talking about off-road's most popular driver, Ivan Stewart. No one else has the adoring crowds, the video games, the national commercials, the job as ESPN announcer, and most important, the countless wins in the stadiums and deserts across North America. Ivan's been accurately described as off-road's best ambassador, and it can be argued that no one has had a bigger impact on the sport.
As you know, I sincerely love off-road racing, and I try and look at where off-road racing's been, where it's going, the potential for off-road racing, and try and guide and help whatever I can to make things as professional and take it out of the backyard form of racing to professionalism. And I always try to do that.
The hard work has paid off for Ivan. A few years ago, he and his wife Linda were able to build their dream house, a beautiful log home on a large acreage east of San Diego. The site is filled with the Stewart's other passion, collecting interesting antiques, both large and small. It reflects how far Ivan Stewart has come in his professional career, from a hard-nosed competitor who was focused only on beating his heroes of off-road, Barnelli Jones, Mickey Thompson, and Walker Evans, to a successful, winning driver who understands the big picture and is respected by fans, the media, and sponsors.
The guy that years ago said you can't win them all, he's right. So I try and develop some other skills along the way. Drive the race car, but again, spokesperson, clean image, all the things that I try and do working with ESPN, these things that I can work on and do to make myself more valuable and more popular.
It would be tough to say the sun is setting on this off-road veteran. Last season was his most dominant ever, easily winning the Desert Driving Championship. Despite the distractions that accompany his well-rounded approach to the job, the Ironman stays focused enough to win.
I still got that burning desire to win races. I love desert racing, as you know, and I'm going to continue on down that path and racing as long as the sponsors will have me, as long as Toyota BF Goodrich will have me race, as long as I'm competitive. I've always said if I'm competitive, I'm going to continue to do it. The day that I feel like I can't win, or for some reason I don't have that burning desire to win, I'm going to be stepping aside and let the younger guys come in.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen tomorrow, but there is a change next year in his racing program.
Well, Toyota is pulling out of the Mickey Thompson, our Stadium Series. They do, however, plan to continue here in the desert.
Trouble in the desert. The stop truck out there, well, it looks like the Simon entry. Now the question is which one? It's Paul at the wheel. Dave is waiting at the next pit, but Paul is going to be a little short of that, and the preliminary indication on the radio is broken axle. You can see the driver has pulled the left rear wheel off, and indeed that puddle of grease is not a good sign. I don't think that's something they'll fix.
No, an axle you don't fix. Unlike the situation that Walker is here, he can do something about his pit stop. Looks like they're looking at the back end of the truck as well. Not the axle, though. A little bit of fluid come out of there. Looks like it might be some kind of coolant or something in the back end.
That's been an ongoing problem for Walker. He was inside the top 5, but they've been having to make some frequent pit stops as Jim Smith continues to lead all of the factory heavyweights here. Nobody in front of him as he goes thundering down the Baja Peninsula. Ivan Stewart is the leader on corrected time, and everybody's wondering when it's going to rain. Stewart, Smith, Swift, LeDuc, and Evans, the top 5. In the Ford Tecate Baja 1000 outside Mexicali, Mexico. What a beautiful place this is. The race is for the lead, and look at this. Jim Smith, who's leader on the road, has pulled into Ivan Stewart's pit. Ivan's the leader on corrected time. What's up?
Well, you know, we were looking at the old, well, this is Mike Shostel looking at himself to see what's going on. Ivan's guys say we don't see anything. We were looking at the old footage of the Baja 1000. This is something that's remained constant. That's teams helping each other if there's a problem.
Smith apparently thought there was something wrong with the right rear. Ivan's guy said, no, looks good to us. Get back out there. We want to beat you, but we want to beat you on the road, not in the pits. I think this is the big surprise. Second on the road, fourth on corrected time, Kurt LeDuc.
I think he's trying to make me look bad, Dave. I mean, come on. I said you can't come out here with the new truck. This is only the second race for this truck, and by golly, the guy's trying to win the whole thing.
He's in a race, too, because John Swift is running right there with him, and they've been kind of swapping positions back and forth through the pit stops. At the moment, Swift is third on the road and third on corrected time. And look at the bodywork flopping around on that thing. Want to get a quarter down here on the table as to how long it'll be before that goes flying off.
No awards for cosmetics here in this race for John Swift.
Pretty much an anything goes battle, and now an indication of trouble. They are on the radio. Where is Ivan Stewart? And the chase crew have the sad answer. He is stopped in the middle of Diablo Dry Lake. This could cost him the championship. Ivan Stewart has broken down, and he is out of the truck. This is a huge break for McCachran. The two men who had a chance to beat him for the championship have both broken down. Let's listen to the radio and see what's up.
It sounds like there's a broken crankshaft or something, Calvin.
Okay, Ivan. That's probably the end of our day. Stand by for a minute.
Broken crankshaft definitely would be the end of the day. That's Walker Evans going by to pick up a spot.
Everything was working fine, and I just passed Kurt LeDuc on the dry lake, which only left Jimmy Smith ahead of it. So just I got alongside of Kurt, the something in the engine or drivetrain or camshaft, or maybe even we're hoping it's electrical let go, and they're trying to diagnose the problem now. So, you know, we'll hope for the best.
Cal, ask him if it's got
Toyota may be out though. It doesn't sound good, boys.
Now you can hear the radio traffic in the background. They're hoping it's something other than the crankshaft, but I think the note in Ivan's voice pretty well says he knows it's over.
Well, you hate to ever give up, but there are some times when you just got to fold it up and say, you know what, I guess we'll do it next time.
Ivan Stewart's title hopes are gone. There goes Rob McCachran, the man who would be champion. Stewart is left to think about another title.
Concerned about my son now. I want him to get the overall championship.
His son would be Brian Stewart. He drives a Dodge truck for Walker Evans, a joining of two great off-road families, and here's his deal for today.
Well, I'm the overall points leader going into this race. I'm only 2 points ahead. But then the other case, I got a good lead on Class 8, but I have to get 12th or better, and there's about 15 trucks entered.
Bottom line, Stewart out to try to win the championship in his division and the overall crown. His father will not take the trophy truck title here this afternoon. So good luck to Brian Stewart as he continues to truck in the Dodge. McCachran, meanwhile, appears to be the man of the hour. Conservatism's going to pay off for him, isn't it?
You know, he said he was going to be patient, and by golly, he's really shown it today. He has run a very patient race, hasn't made mistakes. Attrition now has really hit the field. It's to the point where really all he has to do is finish, because what? We've got 6, 7, 8 trucks already out of this race.
Indeed, the attrition has been remarkable. The question, I guess, is whether old David here can whip all the Goliaths. Jim Smith with his $250,000 slingshot, ready to shoot them all in the eye. He's never won in trophy truck. He's won only one off-road race in his career, but he's on top of the biggest race of all here in the Baja 1000. We'll be right back. Trouble is the story for a lot of people in the Baja 1000. John Swift has stopped taking the body off. It was flopping around anyway, but I think what they're trying to fix here is the left front. And the indication is, yeah, we're going to be able to get it going, and that's more than a lot of guys could say, Steve. This has been a tough one.
The list is getting longer and longer. You try to beat the Baja. These guys won't this year.
Meanwhile, LeDuc remains the surprise story of the race, in contention for a top 3 story. Well, he's going to have to share the surprise honors, I guess, with the leader, Jim Smith, in the Ultra Wheels Ford, beating up on all the factory stuff here today. We've had a couple of injuries, notably in the motorcycle division, and that's a good opportunity to point out that the Score people really do it right in terms of safety.
Every race there are plenty of emergency crews, including helicopters, on the scene. If somebody does have a mishap, they can get help to them quickly or get them evacuated quickly. It's an important part of the sport. This sport is known for being very safe, having a good safety record, and they'd like to see it continue.
We go back up front with the leader, Jim Smith. Mentioned that he had one career victory in off-road racing. He started in the buggies, and that victory was a big one. It came in 1991. He won the Parker 400. There were 2 series that year, and with that victory, he opened the campaign, which ended with the championship. He owns a Winston Cup stock car, a NASCAR super truck, and even though he's a privateer, he's happy.
We're a privateer. Ultra Custom Wheels is my company and our sponsor. However, we feel that when we show up, we've got our tractors and trailers and our people, and we have the same effort that Cal Wells at Toyota, or Roger Mears and Chevy, or Larry Ragland and Chevy, or Walker Evans and Dodge. We have to come here like going to any race. If you don't have your best foot forward, and so our team doesn't have any excuses. We've got our spare parts, we've got our motors, we've got everything we need.
And Dave, the story you were alluding to earlier is that next year he may join up forces with Robbie Gordon. That would be a pretty lethal team. Robbie running the races that don't come in conflict with this IndyCar events.
Jim Smith, one of 2 big stories here today. This is the other one. This is Rob McCachran en route to the championship. It appears, well, I'll say this, there are 3 big stories today because we remain impressed with LeDuc. He is now racing with McCachran, and this is for 2nd place overall.
Well, the thing about this is now the pressure's all off Rob McCachran. He said he wanted to race. He's finally getting a chance to race. These are the guys and gals back in the Ford war room tracking the progress of both Rob McCachran and Jim Smith, looking for a 1-2 finish here. And, of course, Kurt LeDuc is the guy that's playing the spoiler role in this race.
You got it all wrong. They're checking the Weather Channel. We've talked all about the rain. Guess what? Forget rain. It's gotten colder as the day went on. It is snowing in the Baja Peninsula as McCachran comes in for the pit stop in this ongoing battle. And in fact, we're now getting reports that this weather has spread southward. Remember, the trophy trucks went out early. All of the buggies and all of the rest of the racers are strung the length of the peninsula, and we have reports that it is snowing and raining everywhere. It waited till after dark, but it really has the potential to change things dramatically. Could affect the outcome of this McCachran-LeDuc battle.
Well, McCachran in for a splash of gas, maybe a stocking cap. He's back out on the road. Kurt LeDuc still chasing him. What that means is they both have some muddy sections to get through before they get here to the finish line back in Mexicali.
They are a half hour behind this scene. The locals have turned out en masse, and the man they're going to greet is Jim Smith. 10.5 hours after he took the green flag, Smith scores an incredible upset victory and wins his first ever trophy truck race. Here is McCachran with LeDuc on his heels. They had a spirited battle right down to the checkered flag. It wasn't quite as close as it looked. McCachran on corrected time had an advantage over him, but this is the man of the moment. Jim Smith has won it. He and Mike Schaafstahl begin the celebration. As the Mexican fans go crazy, we'll be back to meet the winner of the Baja 1000. The Baja 1000 has been brought to you by Toyota Motorsport, where technology on a fast track is built into every Toyota car and truck you buy. And by Goodyear, #1 in tires.
Welcome back to the Ford Ducati Score Baja 1000. We're here with the winner, Jim Smith, and a crowd of fans. Jim, congratulations. You ran well all day.
Well, thank you. This Ford F1 250 Ultra Wheel BF Goodrich just ran flawlessly. I never got out of the car all day. Stopped for gas, and that was it. We just had one of those dream days.
You were at the start. You had the lead out front because you got to start first. Did that help you, do you think?
I think it did. It allowed me. I didn't have any dust. You know, I got out and just kind of paced it, and we kind of knew where everyone was at, and we were in clear sailing all day, and we just kept sailing.
Were you worried about anybody at any time today? Who were you looking at towards the end of the race? Was Rob McCachran coming on you?
Well, no, actually, at the end of the race, pretty much the last 200 miles, we've had over a 30-minute lead, so we just put it in pre-run speed. At the beginning of the race, Robbie Gordon got by me and Larry Ragland for about a half a mile. Robbie ran out of gas, Larry blew his motor, and from then on, we never looked back.
How good does it feel to win this race?
You know, I want to say that my son Cody and my wife Marlene at home are the two greatest things that ever happened to me. Winning the Score Championship was one, but a dream of mine to win the Baja 1000, you don't understand how much that means to me.
Well, congratulations, Jim. Nice run all day long.
Well, thank you so much.
Jim Smith beat the Baja with a Winston Cup stock car engine built in Robert Yates' shop. Smith's family goes back a long ways in stock car racing. You take a look at the 8 trucks that beat the Baja. The runner-up is the series champion. Let's go back to Steve and Rob McCachran.
Rob, you said before the race you had to be patient. It turned out that way. A lot of guys didn't make it back here tonight.
Yeah, I was playing real conservative off the start, and the vehicles just kept sitting on the side of the road. And by the time Ivan went out and I knew Ragland was out, it was a little bit too late to catch Jimmy. It discouraged me a little bit about that being so far behind. I was hoping he'd have a problem, but he just built up too big of a lead to catch him at the end. We started picking up the pace, but there just wasn't enough left in the truck, and not enough miles left.
Did you have any real problems, or you just were staying real consistent and trying to keep a good steady pace?
Yeah, we were real conservative on the start. I had a couple of flats and just played too conservative, that's it. You know, we had to win this point championship, and that's what it was all about here. You know, we put the Ford truck in the winner's circle for that first trophy truck championship ever.
Well, you got to feel real great about that. You said you wanted the championship, you really worked hard, and you got it.
Yeah, it's good. I like to thank all the people at Venable Racing, Ford, and BF Goodrich for all their support.
Congratulations. Nice job, Robbie.
McCachran seems a bit subdued at not winning the race, but I don't think he'll give back the $50,000 check that goes with bringing Ford the inaugural Trophy Truck Championship. And a big run today for the third place man.
Kurt, just the second race out in this truck, you got to be real happy.
Oh, real happy. We came down here prepared for rain. It was like driving in New England. That's where I'm from. We put a special guard up here just to keep me dry, and you can see it did a great job. And, you know, Ivan actually pulled beside me on the dry lake and broke his crankshaft right there. It's like everybody that went by me had a jinx and they would pull over. It was just a great day for Donovan and Goodyear and for Chrysler. Jeep Grand Cherokee got through the mud.
Well, you ran real well, but it was tough to catch Jimmy there. He was really moving, wasn't he? Did you think you'd have a shot at him?
Well, early on I got fairly close, and then running down the beach section, we ran the car a little too hard and the shocks faded. So we had to make a pit stop, add some more shocks to the car, but it set us so far back there was nothing we could do unless he had a problem. It was good to see Jimmy have a good day.
Jimmy had a great day. The dream victory today propels Smith to second in the final standing. Disappointment for Ivan Stewart, offset perhaps by the fact that his son Brian took the Class 8
Championship. We'd like to say a quick thank you to the folks from the Magellan Satellite Navigation System for the equipment that helped our ESPN crews. And in the 20 seconds that remain, I'd like to get a quick final thought from you, Steve.
At every Baja, there's always a surprise. In 1994, it was Jimmy Smith. And, of course, congratulations to Rob McMillin, who ran the smart race and won the overall Trophy Truck Championship, something they just can't take away from you.
We have had terrific fun covering this inaugural Trophy Truck season here on ESPN. I'll add my congratulations to Jim Smith, the race winner, to Rob McMillin, the new champion, and also a special thanks to the folks from SCORE, to all the teams for their help and cooperation, and especially the Ligner Group Productions crew for making it fun to be here. I'm Dave Despain for Steve Wise saying so long from the Baja Peninsula.